Texas, a state that once declared itself an independent nation, is now shaking under a political earthquake. Not in Washington, not in the corridors of federal power, but right in the heart of deep red America. What began as a seemingly technical debate over redrawing electoral maps has erupted into an unprecedented showdown between the two major parties, sending dozens of Democratic lawmakers fleeing the state, the governor issuing orders for their arrest, and Donald Trump calling for the FBI to get involved. But the question is, how can a simple map push America's democratic system to the brink of chaos? Is this just a familiar election year tactic? Or a soft coup, quietly reshaping power from the inside out? If you were a Texan, or simply an American who cares about your right to vote, how would you react when you realize that a line on a map could determine your political voice for decades to come? Let's break it down. Not just to understand why Texas has become the flashpoint, but to uncover the larger strategy operating behind the scenes. A strategy that could redefine American democracy in ways you've never imagined. On paper, the Texas Republican plan sounds simple. Redraw 5 voting districts in a way that conveniently turns political battlegrounds into safe red seats. In reality, it's a calculated move that could add 5 more Republican seats in the U.S. House, a razor-thin chamber where the current GOP majority stands at just 220 to 215. Here's how it works. 2 swing districts, the 28th and Bastrop County, get reshaped to lean heavily Republican. 3 Democratic strongholds, the 9th, 32nd, and 35th, get carved up, blended with red-leaning areas, and diluted until the blue vote loses its punch. The result? Minority and urban voices, once concentrated enough to sway outcomes, get scattered like chess pieces off the board. By law, states redraw their maps every 10 years after the census. The last census was in 2020, meaning Texas still has 5 years to go. There's been no population shift big enough to justify an early redraw. So if this isn't about demographics, what's it really about? Could it be that the map itself is the prize? A legal weapon in a long game where the winner controls not just Texas, but the trajectory of national politics for the next decade? Now imagine you're a Democratic lawmaker in Texas. You know you can't stop this if you show up to vote. The Republican majority in Austin has the numbers and the gavel. So what do? You leave. 57 Democratic legislators flee the state, scattering to Illinois, Massachusetts, and New York. Their mission? Deny the quorum needed to pass the map.
The Republican response is swift. Governor Greg Abbott orders state troopers to track down and haul the Democrats back to the Capitol, but only within Texas borders. Outside the state, they're untouchable. Still, Abbott pushes further, filing an emergency motion with the Texas Supreme Court to strip Democratic leadership of their posts. Meanwhile, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton threatens to fine each absent Democrat $500 a day and brands them cowards. And Donald Trump? He cheers the plan and calls on the FBI to step in, framing the lawmakers' absence as an attack on democracy itself. It's not the first time Texas Democrats have staged such an escape. In 2021, they walked out to protest tighter voting restrictions and still lost. But this time, the stakes are bigger. Texas isn't just a state anymore. It's a political test lab, and the experiment could spread nationwide.
Purets. Hell, cafe here que tanks dancing with tea, but power and the faso janifique, a case in the dream. Serving takes to decade, and so this night revenge chasing us to drew by each two gamma cabal sound.
Texas may look like a single-state battle, but in reality, it's the opening move of a nationwide game.
Just a fab cabal belonged in the Logan line, but in the 2 years of my bite all the stating the song as I'm playing together time at Norwood. But ancient mockery could fire the wall.
If this map passes, it becomes a blueprint, one that Republican-controlled states like Florida, Arizona, and Wisconsin can replicate almost instantly. And when enough states follow suit, the U.S. House could be engineered into a lasting majority without flipping a single swing voter.
But we were found at hard to sort.
That's the brilliance and the danger of a soft coup. No tanks in the streets, no generals on TV. Just ink on paper and signatures in committee rooms, all wrapped in the language of efficiency, security, and fair representation.
Pooh, what Almuda, but you need the heist become into its close. I teach a teaking fire reductor.
The true threat isn't how many seats Texas flips today, it's the precedent. Once you prove you can legally rewrite representation to cement power, the dominoes fall quickly. And the average voter, they may not even realize the game has changed until it's too late.
My two D's my with law.
So, asida, that foretext there. Sound familiar? It should. Think about the Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962, a confrontation where the public saw missiles and headlines, but the real war was in the negotiation rooms. Out with his better? Called man? Well, pause. Now, swap missiles for maps.
In charge of 9 hours.
That's combine, and you've got the modern version. Power projection without firing a shot. There's certain for the potential.
1 hour, sane 1 hours.
Again, was Pausius et Intarical. And here's the kicker. Donald Trump knows exactly what Texas represents.
1 hour, sane 1 hours. By about the 9 hours, her bowder.
This isn't just about 5 seats in Congress. It's about launching a model from a state that's rich, rebellious, and historically willing to defy Washington. A state that once seceded from...
In the end, Texas is more than a state map fight. It's a proof of concept. If you can redraw the lines in one of the most powerful states in America, economically, culturally, and politically, you can redraw them anywhere. And once enough states follow, you no longer need to win the people's hearts. You've already written the rules to keep the power. That's why this isn't just about Texas Democrats fleeing or Republicans grabbing 5 extra seats. It's about testing the limits of law, precedent, and public complacency. Because once a precedent is set and survives, it doesn't fade. It grows. So the real question isn't whether Texas Republicans will pass this map. It's whether the rest of America will notice or care. And if they don't, what happens when the same playbook gets rolled out in your state? If you lived in a district that was deliberately split to dilute your vote, would you fight back? Or would you shrug and accept the new normal? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you see this as a legitimate use of political power or as a dangerous erosion of democratic representation? And make sure to subscribe, because next time we're pulling back the curtain on another battleground where the map isn't just geography, it's a weapon.